Hi, my name is Lewis, I'm from Revizto, and today I'm going to be giving you an introduction to Revizto on a tablet. We're going to be covering how we open projects on the tablets, the basic navigation controls, and look at some of the new features that we have in Revizto 5 that's been brought across to the tablet where it wasn't available before with Revizto 4. We've made some assumptions for this session, the first one being that your tablet that you're using is half decent. Please don't expect a first generation iPad mini with 1 GB of RAM to work. Revizto runs best on an iPad. Our recommendation is typically around the iPad Pro or the new 4th gen iPad Air. Revizto also works really well on Microsoft Surface Pro devices, so that's another option for you. And whilst we do work with Android devices, because every manufacturer that uses Android slightly changes the way that their operating system is working, performance cannot be guaranteed. So the recommendation is iPads or Surface Pros, but on some Android devices it will work, other devices it may struggle. That's something to look at and see how you'll get on with it. So first things first, we're just going to open up Revizto. So we're just going to open up the project. To open a project here, it's exactly the same as you would expect from the desktop version. We're in the project gallery. We can just double tap on the project that we want to open and it will open. With the tablets, it always comes up with the load and unload links option. This is just designed so that it can boost the performance of your tablet so that it's not loading in models that you're not going to use, so that it can focus more of its sort of memory and power on the models that you are interested in. Again, this has been sort of implemented partly to assist with the Android issues that we have where they have, less RAM and things like that. But in general, you can choose which models you want to load. Once you're happy with the files you've got selected, you can just hit load selected links from the bottom and that will now open. The load and unload links button is available anytime from the top right hand corner here. We can come in here and we can change which models are loaded. In this case, I don't need to worry, so I'm just going to hit cancel. So in a moment, I'm going to show you the different touchscreen controls that we have for the tablet. But first of all, the easiest way to navigate around the model is still to use the map mode. The same way that we would recommend the map mode for navigating on the desktop doesn't change on the tablet. So if we select the map, it creates a plan view using the 3D geometry, and down the right hand side we have the levels. So again, I can just select my ground floor, I can zoom into where I want to go, and I can just double tap, and instantly I'm going to appear in that location. The rooms are also visible on the tablet, so we can also use the rooms to navigate. But in general, to get to where you want to go quickly and easily, the map is still going to be the #1 recommended way of doing that. But then we can jump into the touchscreen controls. They are intuitive. If you use a touchscreen phone or a touchscreen tablet on a daily basis, most of these controls will be very familiar with you. You're just using them in a slightly different way than you would do to view articles on websites and things like that. But in general, the actual controls are very similar. The recommendation when using the controls on the touchscreen though would be to first of all set the mode to walk mode. By setting it to walk mode, it's introducing collision and gravity. It slows everything down and just means that everything is a bit more controllable than it otherwise would be. So first things first, zoom in, zoom out. To zoom out, we just can just pinch on the screen. So we just have 2 fingers separated and we pinch them together and the view will zoom out. And if we pinch outwards, so we have our fingers together and push out, it's going to move in and effectively zoom us into a different area on the building. So pinch in, pinch out to zoom in, zoom out. For the actual touchscreen navigation, the screen is effectively split into 2. So 1/3 of the screen is set up to be your virtual joystick and 2/3 of your screen are set to be controlling the camera direction. Depending on whether or not your tablet is set up for left or right-handed use, if it's set to the default, which is right-handed, the virtual joystick is on the left 1/3 of the screen and the camera direction is on the second 2/3 or the right 2/3 of the screen. So the virtual joystick works by simply touching your finger on the screen, moving it forwards and moving it backwards. As I do that, you'll see that this joystick appears on the screen and I can now control my direction. The directions are pretty straightforward. It's straight forward, straight backwards, left or right. You'll notice that at no point is the camera direction changing. It's staying exactly where it is. So we're not actually controlling where we're moving, our camera direction is always the same, and we're just moving forwards and backwards, left or right in that location. On the second 2/3 of the screen, this is how we change the position of the camera. So to do this, we literally just take one finger on the right 2/3 and we just move it left and right, or we can move it up and down. And this then changes the direction of the camera so that we can start to look around and see what's going on in different directions. When we combine both of these together, we can then start to walk around the model really quickly and really easily. So to start with, the left 1/3 of the screen, I'm going to move forward. And then on the right 2/3 of the screen, I'm going to move my camera direction and I'm going to change which direction I'm moving in. It does become a two-hand job to do this, but it is pretty easy and pretty intuitive to work with. As with walk mode on the desktop version, as I said, there's collision and there's gravity. I can walk through windows. I can't walk through walls. If I come to a wall, it's just going to stop me on that wall face. But I can walk through doors so that we can move into the buildings and look around. So these navigation controls, as I said, they will take a little bit of getting used to, but they are pretty quick to understand, and they're pretty intuitive how we do that. So remember, the left 1/3 of the screen is for movement, forwards and backwards, left or right. And the second 2/3 of the screen are for controlling the camera direction and controlling which direction we're going to be moving in. We can also pan with the touchscreen, and this requires two fingers on the screen at the same time. So we literally touch two fingers down and then move them left to right or up and down, and that's going to pan left to right. And you can go up and you can go down. So panning is pretty easy and pretty quick way of getting you from one side of the building to the other. We can also orbit on the tablet. To orbit, we need to turn off walk mode. Orbit won't work if we are in walk mode, so if I turn off walk mode, it then just requires three fingers on the screen at the same time, and we just move left or right, up and down, and that will spin around. So when you're orbiting, it kind of makes sense that you would use that when you're outside of the building. If you're inside the building, you would just use the camera direction to look around as opposed to orbiting around the model. So I was going to turn walk mode back on. So that's how we orbit. So that's pretty straightforward, hopefully, for everyone to understand. We can still view the properties and everything on the tablet. This is simply done just by double tapping on any object, and we'll see those properties. So you can see now that I've got that column selected, and I can see the properties on the left-hand side. Whatever it is that I'm interested in, that's what I'm going to see. In Revizto 5, we introduced the right-click context menu. If we long hold on the object, we will see the right-click context menu. Within the context menu, we can hide, isolate and transparency. Any of the overrides that we want to do can be done directly within the context menu. We can also unselect objects if we need to. So if I've got something selected, I don't want it selected anymore, I can just unselect all, and that will allow me to start again and pick new objects. We've also for the first time introduced multi-select within the tablets. So to do this again, we just long hold to get the context menu, and down the bottom you see enter multi-select mode. By entering multi-select mode, I can now pick multiple objects in my view. I can sort of look around and I can pick whatever it is that I want. I can just grab that and grab those. And then by clicking on the right cross or clicking on the cross in the top right hand corner, I now have those 6 items selected. I can now long hold and I can fit selection box around selection. So now on the tablet for the first time, it's allowing us to do section boxes based around objects that we already have selected rather than having to create the section box from scratch each time. So this is a big new bonus for the way that Revizto 5 is working. If I click the home button, it's obviously going to turn everything back on and take me back to scratch. And if I click into a blank space completely, you'll see that I no longer have anything selected. Cutting sections and taking measurements are really easy on the tablet as well. So I'm going to go to a save viewpoint that I have. We can then go to our measurement tool. We have the same 5 measurement tools that we would have on the PC version. The first one being the laser rule. I literally just drag this to any position on the model and it will automatically give me the distance between the next component. Again, with the snapping tool, I can just pick that and drag it, and it will lock to the surfaces as I move it around. Minimum distance, again, just works by double clicking on any 2 components and it will show us the shortest distance. So taking measurements within Revizto is really easy, and cutting sections is pretty simple as well. So I'm just going to unselect everything. I can select my scissors. Again, the first option is the plane based. So with this, I can just double click on any surface and it will automatically cut my section in that location. I can then pull that through the building as we need to. I can double click onto a floor plan and I can drag that up and down. And as we've shown already, section boxes using multiple selection of components is now really easy to do on the tablet. So something that we've seriously improved on compared to how it worked in Revizto 4. So just to summarise what we've covered today, navigating on the tablet is pretty straightforward. We just need to remember that the left 1/3 of the screen is about your movement, forwards, backwards, left and right, and your right 2/3 of the screen is for which direction you're pointing in. So you just move the screen in the right direction and then move forward and it will move you in that direction. So hopefully you've all found this useful. Thank you very much for your time and hopefully see you again soon.